Structural organization in animals. First, tissues. What is a tissue? Tissue is a group of cells. Tissue is a group of cells performing similar functions. Performing similar functions. It's a group of cells performing similar functions. Connective tissue means it will connect things in our body. Muscle tissue means it contracts and relaxes. So each tissue has its own function. And study of tissues is called histology. And the scientist who studies tissues is called histologist. And the father of histology is Bycat. Father of histology is Bycat. Tissues can be broadly classified into 4 major types. The first one is called epithelial tissue. The next one is called connective tissue. The next one is called muscle tissue or muscular tissue. The next one is called neural tissue or nervous tissue. Epithelial tissue can be also called as epidermal tissue or epidermis. And this epithelial tissue covers the outer and inner. It covers the outer and the inner lining of organs or the skin or the body. Usually this outer lining, the tissues or the epithelial tissues present in the outer lining are mostly protective. And inner, these help in secretion as well as absorption. They secrete some digestive enzymes and like mucus, etc. And absorption means like the absorption or helping in the absorption of the food that we eat. This is epithelial tissue. This is also called as epidermal tissue or epidermis. Connective tissue. Connective tissue can be also classified into 4 types. The first one is called dense or loose connective tissue. Loose connective tissue. Here we write areola and adipose tissue. And the next one is fibrous tissue. Here we have fibrous means like it has a lot of like elastin and many collagen fibers. Here we have tendons and ligaments. Ligament connects bone and bone. Tendons connect bone to a muscle. The next one is called fluid connective tissue. Fluid connective tissue, here we have blood as well as lymph. Blood has RBCs, which are red blood cells, white blood cells and platelets. Next one is compact connective tissue. In compact connective tissue, we write bone and cartilage. Cartilage is found in nose, ear, etc. Muscular tissue is the next one. Muscular tissue can also be classified into three main types. The first one is called skeletal muscular tissue. The next one is called cardiac muscular tissue, which is related to heart, and smooth muscular tissue. These are the three main types of muscles. Next one is neural or nervous connective tissue. This neural or nervous connective tissue, these are the specialized tissues which help in conduction of nerve impulse. And here we have two different types of cells that we have. Here we have neurons. The first one is neurons, which are also called as the nerve cells, and they help in the conduction of the impulse. They have different parts as well. And the next one is called glial cells or neuroglia. Neuroglial cells. These are just the cells between neurons which also help in the conduction of nerve impulse. Next, we will talk about epithelial tissue, the main categories of the epithelial tissue now. Epithelial tissue. Epithelial tissue, they have compactly arranged cells. Compactly arranged cells means, so if these are the cells, they don't have much spaces in between. That means they are very tightly packed cells. And they have negligible or no intercellular matrix or fluid. No or negligible intercellular matrix. And they have a membrane-like thing below their tissues. So if this is our tissue, we have little membrane like this, then nucleus, and this membrane is called the basement membrane. And it's important to know that this basement membrane is non-cellular. It doesn't have any cells. And the function of this basement membrane is it provides nourishment to the epithelial tissue. And sometimes epithelial tissue is also called as pavement tissue because these basement membranes looks like that. They look like a pavement. And they have a nucleus in each of them. So these epidermal tissues can be classified into three main categories. The first one is called epidermal tissues. The next one is called compound epidermal tissues. And the third one is called transitional epithelial tissues. Simple epidermal tissues means the cells are arranged in a single layer. So, cells in single layer. Cells in single layer means if this is the basement membrane or the pavement membrane, the cells are like this. They are just arranged on a single basement membrane. They are just in a single layer. So we have the nucleus here. This is simple epithelial tissue. The next one is called transitional. And the next one is called compound. So first we'll discuss compound. Compound means cells are arranged in multiple layers, 2 or more layers. Again, if you have the basement membrane here, this is the basement membrane, and the cells are like this, nucleus. Again, let's take it as a cuboidal epithelium, so they're in cube shaped, and as you go on, the shape of the cuboid starts to decrease. That means they become more flat. They become flattened. So here we have cells in multiple layers. This is called compound epithelium. Transitional epithelium means here cells are usually in multiple layers, but when they are stretched, they become 1 or 2 layers. That means when they are stretched, they become 1 or 2 layers. That means in urinary bladder, when the bladder is full, then the muscles will become stretched or the tissues become stretched, then they appear like 1 or 2 layers. So if this is our basement membrane, they are in multiple layers. There are some gaps between these cells. When they become stretched, these two cells, they stretch, and then this cell comes down. So this is transitional epithelium. Here we have cells are in multiple layers. Simple epithelium, cells in single layers. Transitional, cells are in multiple layers, but when they are stretched, they become 1 or 2 layers. Compound epithelium, here cells are in multiple layers. And tissues means group of cells performing similar functions.